Every profession carries stress. Every job has hard days. But policing and first responders live in a different category altogether. Police officers, deputies, correction officers, firefighters, EMT, dispatchers, they walk into a situation people spend their lives trying to avoid. You see the aftermath of violence. You respond to tragedy. You knock on doors that change families forever. You deal with people at their worst moments over and over again. And somewhere along the way, if you're not careful, something inside you begins to change. It might start with exhaustion, then comes cynicism, and eventually it could turn into emotional numbness. Many first responders begin to feel like they are slowly losing parts of themselves, like compassion, peace, joy, and sometimes even their faith. The danger isn't just physical, it's spiritual. And if you're going to survive a career on the front lines, not just physically, but spiritually, you need more than tactics, backup, and body armor. You need spiritual armor.
Welcome to Duty and Discipleship, Faith on the Front Lines, where law enforcement, first responders, and their families talk about the job, the culture, and the battles most people never see, all through the lens of a biblical worldview.
Welcome to Duty and Discipleship. If you're listening to the podcast version, please make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. It really helps get the message out to more first responders that may need encouragement, truth, and a reminder that they're not in this alone. The hidden battles most first responders never talk about. Public sees the badge, the uniform, the cruiser lights, but what they don't see is the invisible weight that follows responders home. You carry the faces of victims. You carry the sounds of calls that still echo in your mind. You carry the memories of scenes you wish you could forget. Many officers learn early in their careers that the culture of the job encourages emotional shutdown. The unspoken rule is simple. Deal with it, push it down, and move it on to the next call. But suppressed trauma doesn't disappear. It settles in the heart. It shows up as anger. It shows up as isolation. It shows up as broken relationships. It shows up as burnout. And sometimes, tragically, it shows up at the growing number of first responder suicides. The job exposes you to darkness every single day. Scripture reminds us that what we're fighting isn't only physical. Ephesians 6:12 tells us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world." First responders stand at the intersection of human brokenness. You witness the consequences of sin, violence, addiction, despair, and evil in raw form. Without spiritual protection, that darkness will slowly eat you away. Hey, real quick, are you new to Christianity? Or maybe you're just searching for what you really believe? My new book, Christian Basics, Foundations in Faith, will walk you through 12 simple but powerful truths every believer should know. You'll learn who God is, why Jesus came, and how to live with purpose and confidence in your faith. Whether you're just starting your journey or coming back to it, this book will help you build a solid foundation that lasts. Get your copy of Christian Basics today on Amazon and start walking forward in faith. The dangers of a hardened heart. One of the most common survival strategies in law enforcement is emotional hardening. You tell yourself, don't get attached, don't feel too much, just do the job. At first, it seems to work. You become more efficient, less affected by what you see. But over time, something dangerous happens. That same wall that protects you from trauma also blocks compassion. Soon, every call looks the same. Every citizen becomes a problem. Every situation feels like a threat. Cynicism becomes the default lens. And the person you used to be begins to disappear. The Bible repeatedly warns about hardened hearts. A hardened heart doesn't just distance you from people, it distances you from God. For most Christian first responders, the goal is not to become emotionally numb. The goal is to become spiritually anchored. Jesus himself encountered suffering constantly. Sickness, death, injustice, betrayal, yet Scripture tells us something remarkable. He remained compassionate. He wept with those who mourn. He loved the broken. He never allowed the darkness around him to become the darkness within him. That's the model. The myth of the lone warrior. Law enforcement culture often celebrates the image of the lone warrior. Handle your business. Don't show weakness. Figure it out yourself. But spiritually speaking, isolation is dangerous ground. From the very beginning, God designed people to live in community. And when officers isolate themselves from family, church, and other believers, the spiritual consequences can be severe. Isolation feeds desperation, anger, addiction, hopelessness, depression. Many first responders quietly drift away from the church during their careers. Shift work, fatigue, and the culture of the job slowly pushes faith into the margins. But the truth is this: you cannot fight the spiritual battle alone. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25 reminds believers not to neglect the gathering together. Christian community is not a luxury, it's a protection. A police officer surrounded by believers who would understand the job has something incredibly powerful: spiritual backup. Guard your mind. One of the most important areas of spiritual survival for first responders is the mind. Your mind is constantly exposed to darkness, violence, cruelty, depravity, images and experiences that most people never encounter. If you don't intentionally guard your thoughts, those images will replay over and over again. Scripture gives you a clear strategy. Philippians 4:8 says, "Whatever's true, whatever's honorable, whatever's just, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, think about these things." That command isn't naive. It's survival. You can allow darkness to become the dominant narrative in your mind. Practical spiritual discipline matters. Read Scripture regularly. Pray during quiet moments of the shift. Listen to sermons of worship music in the cruiser. Talk openly with other believers. These practices recenter your mind in truth. They remind you that evil does not have the final word. Remember why you started. Most people who enter law enforcement don't do it for the fame or money. They do it because they want to help people. They want to protect the innocent. They want to stand between order and chaos. That instinct, whether recognized or not, reflects something deeply biblical. Scripture repeatedly describes government authorities as servants who restrain evil and promote good. That's Romans 13. When police officers stops a violent offender, protects a victim, or restores order in a chaotic situation, they are participating in something profoundly meaningful. They are acting as agents of justice. But the longer someone works the job, the easier it becomes to forget that mission. The calls pile up, the criticism grows louder, the culture turns hostile toward law enforcement, and slowly the sense of calling fades. Spiritual survival requires remembering something simple but powerful. Your work matters, even when no one thanks you, even when the culture criticizes you, even when the job is exhausting. God sees it all. The only one who can carry the weight. Many first responders try to carry the weight of the job themselves. Every tragedy, every death notification, every horrific call, every image burned into memory. But the truth is, you were never meant to carry that alone. Jesus invites the weary in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. "Come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That verse isn't an abstract theology. For first responders, it's an invitation to lay down the emotional and spiritual burdens that pile up over the years of service. Christ doesn't ask you to pretend the job isn't hard. He asks you to bring the weight to Him over and over again, shift after shift, call after call. Spiritual survival is intentional. No one drifts into spiritual strength. It requires intentional habits. For police officers and first responders, spiritual survival often comes down to a few but simple, powerful commitments. Stay rooted in Scripture. Stay connected to Christian community. Stay honest with God about what you're carrying. Stay anchored in your calling. And remember that your identity is not defined by the badge. You're not just an officer. You're not just a first responder. If you belong to Christ, you're something even greater. You are a servant of God placed on the front lines of a broken world. And even in the darkest moments of the job, you're never standing alone. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend who needs biblical clarity and courage right now. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. Your engagement helps more believers stand firm in the truth. And for deeper Bible studies, resources, and tools to help you live boldly for Christ, visit us at battlearmor.org. Truth still stands, the gospel still saves, and we will not be silent. Until next time, stay bold, stay grounded, stay defiantly unashamed.